So yeah, I'm really excited to be here today and just talk a little bit about how we use Kubernetes and cloud-native software to empower our developers at Xero. But first, just a little bit about Xero. So we are a business platform that really helps connect small businesses to the accounting tools, apps, and data they need to grow and thrive. And I think as our customers' needs change, our purpose kind of evolves with that. So today, we're all about trying to make life better for people in small business, their advisors, and communities around the world. And we're a pretty big company. Xero has over 1 million subscribers in Australia and New Zealand, and over 2 million subscribers worldwide. We also have 2,700 staff, but we still manage to be a developer-led organization with almost half our staff being developers. And we divide these staff into like 2 groups. So we've got the product teams that work on Xero, the actual product, and we've got platform teams that work on infrastructure and tooling for our product teams. So me, I'm on one of our platform teams. And we're in the cloud, specifically AWS. But what does that mean? So to our, the bookkeeper or accountant or small business owner, it means that they can run their business from any time, anywhere, on any device, and that's really great for them. But to our product teams, it mostly just means that everyone has their own AWS account. And that's great in many ways, like people can release multiple times a day, they're not blocked when trying to provision new infrastructure. But, and if there's an outage, it's usually contained to a small part of the product. But the problem is there's now lots to worry about. So teams not only have to write great code, understand the intricacies of Australian super, but also to build reliable cloud-native infrastructure. And that last part is a little bit of an issue, because what happens is you get hundreds of autonomous teams all essentially solving the same problem, but just implemented slightly differently. So one team might be using like Ubuntu virtual machines, while another team might be running things serverless on AWS Lambda. And the deployment pipelines between these teams are just completely different. And really, at the end of the day, like, infrastructure just doesn't add value for our customers. Like, the small business owner just wants to run their business. So what can we do about this? How can we like provide the flexibility that our product teams need while like still managing that infrastructure? So Kubernetes, that's a thing. Let's just create a shared Kubernetes cluster and call it a day. But we haven't really solved anything here. Now product teams just have to learn Kubernetes instead of AWS. So what you really need to start doing is think about your platform as a product. So this is all, the core idea is about being customer-centric and really just working closely with your internal customers to see what they want. So like actually just go talk to your product teams and ask them what their problems are, and then do your best to try and solve that. And if you do that well, teams are going to want to move to your platform. So this might come in the form of cluster add-ons. So if managing DNS is a hassle, manage that for them. If renewing SSL certificates is annoying, automate that. If monitoring and logging is a pain, just manage that for them. Like the list goes on, and all of these are like open source, very little software to like write ourselves. That's really great, but I think Kubernetes is only the start, and think of add-ons as like building blocks to solve real problems for your customers. So this wouldn't be a talk about Kubernetes if I didn't talk about YAML. The Kubernetes API is great, and it's really powerful, but it can be daunting for people that haven't used it before. So we use Helm to make this a little bit easier for our developers. So Helm essentially takes your small, bespoke amount of YAML and turns it into the fully fledged Kubernetes manifests and then applies it into the cluster. So we built a generic Helm chart that has some opinionated defaults for Xero's environment, and we give it to developers so they can spend less time configuring deployment configurations. But how do you actually get people to use Helm? Like, at a glance, it's like another tool to learn, and it looks kind of complicated. So what we did is we built a deployment wizard. So essentially, rather than filling out a values YAML yourself, there's a text box with a description, and all it's doing is putting that what you write into a YAML file, but it's a much better user experience. And so once you've filled everything out, you can go and choose, like if you're using TeamCity, Terraform, or Jenkins, and then download a whole pipeline. And this is really basic. This only took us like a week to make because it's like all in the browser, client side, and doesn't talk to any APIs. But it's the thing that saved us the most support. People that don't know anything about Kubernetes can get up and running faster with our deployment wizard than those who've used Kubernetes before. And as a result, over 95% of our deployments on our clusters use our generic Helm charts. And since the initial success of that deployment wizard, we've expanded our self-service to reduce toil for the platform team. So we identify common tickets that can be automated, and we're in a really good position now. So product teams can come in and create a namespace and update roles, users, resource limits, and then start deploying to our clusters without any interaction with the platform team. But Kubernetes can be weird sometimes, and things don't necessarily work the way people expect. For example, like the Docker latest tag, if you use it and then you try to do a deployment, you might not get the latest version of your software. And then a product team will come and complain in your Slack channel and say, Kubernetes is broken, when it's really working as designed. So to kind of encourage best practices, we use Open Policy Agent. And Open Policy Agent allows you to author and enforce policy for a variety of cloud-native applications. But in Kubernetes, it can be installed as an admission webhook to prevent issues before they happen. And it kind of means we can stop product teams from doing weird or insecure configurations. So, for example, we used to have this corporate proxy, and you'd have to set the HTTP environment variable on all your deployments. And this was deprecated a long time ago, but the configurations still linger around today. So when we built our Kubernetes platform at Xero, we made the explicit choice to not even support this. Like, the network just wouldn't work. But the network not working is not a great user experience. So with Open Policy Agent, we can put a nice error message in there with a link to the docs on why that's the case. Just don't forget to write your docs. Like, I think docs are a huge part of what makes a great product. AWS and Azure have extensive documentation. Xero, the product, has great docs. And I think your internal platform should be no exception. Just don't rewrite the official docs, because just document your specific implementation. And I think if you write great docs, it will save you a ton of support. And that's really important to us, because we're a really small team. There's only 4 engineers in the whole of Xero that build and maintain all the clusters. But it's worked out really well for us. Like, product teams actually want to move their workloads to our platform, and going forward, Kubernetes will be the only compute platform at Xero. Just make sure to build your platform like any other product. Start small. Start with those stateless, non-critical workloads, and make sure your platform works really well for those first. Then expand your capabilities when your teams need it. And we're not there yet. Like, our Windows monolith still isn't running in Kubernetes. And we don't have a fancy service mesh right now. But I know we'll get there through iteration and continuous improvement. And it's already been a journey to get to where we are today. We spent months just experimenting to see what works best for Xero and our customers. And what works well for Xero might not be the best for your organization. But the beauty of Cloud Native is that you get the choice. We wouldn't have got to where we are without thinking about our platform as a product. You have to be customer-centric and involve your product teams in every step of the way. I highly encourage you to do the same in your organization, because if you do so, you will empower your developers. Thank you.